are deserving of somebody who is totally sure of what they want and what they have. If not seeing that, he's not for you.
Not get to judge you. He has his own thing that he needs to resolve. Believe me when I say this.
I feel like season 4 of Love is Blind was an anomaly, and that they will never get another season like that where they had a lot of people that went in actually looking for marriage. Because from what I've seen thus far, oh my god, season 5 is going to be a train wreck. It's already looking like season 3 and 2. But anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. It's your girl Valerie. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely subscribe. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love is Blind, Season 5, Episode 1. So we start off with Uche. He's having a conversation, he's telling everybody who he is, and it's like, oh god, here we go. And so he has a conversation with Lydia. Is it just me, or is Lydia a bit too much for anybody else? I think she's doing it for attention. I think she wants to be the standout person in the show, and so she's going to be as loud and as toxic as she can be, so that the producers keep her on the show and hopefully make her part of the main cast. That's the impression that I'm getting. She did have a conversation with Milton, and they sort of bonded over the fact that although Milton is an engineer, she's a geologist, and they were talking about rocks. They were very nerdy, and they really seem to get along. But the problem is, Milton is only 24 and she's 29 going on to 30. So she said he was even younger than her brother, and she was worried about that, which I get. And then she spoke to Izzy, who is Mexican, and was telling her about his family and the fact that he found out he had more siblings as he grew older. And so I think she had better chemistry with Izzy than she did with, well, not chemistry per se. I think Lydia had better chemistry with Milton than she did with Izzy, even though Izzy is more closer to her age. And then Izzy was saying, his biggest insecurity is that he's got a bald head, and somebody has actually sort of taken off his hat and looked at his head and sort of made a face and walked off. So he then spoke to Stacy, and Stacy reminds me of Micah. She reminds me of Shauna. She reminds me of Jessica, and she's going to be in that same lane. That's the impression that I'm getting. So they did have a conversation with. I didn't quite grasp anything from that chat, but he had a conversation with Johnny, and I think Izzy and Johnny had better chemistry. Johnny apparently is a lawyer. Well, they must have really been impressed by Zach last season in order for them to bring another lawyer, because they've never really brought a lawyer, and I don't know whether they think that Johnny is the right candidate. Apparently, she's a divorcee, so she's been married before. She's got family issues. Apparently, her mother was saying she's not, choosing the right type of guy, and it's like, oh my god, here we go again. I don't know. And then Johnny had a conversation with Chris, and I couldn't get the substance of that conversation. Johnny kept repeating, I'm a lawyer, and it's like, is she trying to impress him because he's got this fancy job? I didn't get it. I really didn't get it, but hey, it is what it is. That's why I haven't seen anyone that's actually stood out. I'm really 20 minutes in and there's no one that stood out, and it's like, why? Why is there no couple that you think that, oh, these two would make an ideal couple at this stage? So you have Taylor, who says she's had issues with self-love. She struggled to love herself, but she's now in a place where she loves herself. She has a conversation with JP, and they seem to get on very well. I think most of the people that are coming onto the show now know that in order to be featured, you have to create a connection with someone and you have to propose. So I don't know whether their connection is genuine or whether it's just because they want to be featured, because JP is a firefighter, and so they seem to bond because Taylor says she likes a hardworking man, and it's like, I don't know. Something is a bit off with them for me. I don't know. We'll see as the episode continues. You have Uche. Uche has a date with Miriam. Uche and Miriam are both Nigerians. Uche apparently was speaking to Miriam because Miriam immigrated to the US, and she said she immigrated because she wanted to study medicine, and she felt that that's where she'd find the best programs. But she then changed her mind, and she did something else within medicine, and now she's a consultant, and she was overseas, and now she's back. She was very vague in how she was describing herself. I don't know why. I don't know why. Whether it's because she didn't like Uche, or whether she was trying to throw him off, or I personally didn't get it. I didn't get it. I found it confusing. And she said she has a business which sort of regulates whatever. And I think she was just trying to say she sells female product. And I don't know why she just didn't say that, or whether the producers didn't want her to mention her company on the show, otherwise they'll take a commission or something. I didn't get it. And then he had a date with Aliyah. I think he got on better with Aliyah. I think they had a greater connection with Aliyah. Aliyah is an ICU nurse, so they were talking about their jobs. He's a lawyer, and they seemed to have a better connection, and they seemed to have more in common than it did with Miriam. I don't know whether Miriam was purposely doing that because she didn't like Uche. I didn't get that. And then everybody went into this sex topic, and it was okay. It's important to get to know your partner or someone you're thinking of dating or proposing to. But I just found it awkward. I just found it strange. I don't know whether it was producer driven. I don't know whether it was one of those days where they gave them questions to sort of ask one another. It didn't flow naturally at all. And I found that conversation very strange and very awkward. And still, more than 30 minutes into the episode, and you can't sort of see anyone who stands out. It doesn't make any sense. So you have Johnny having a conversation with Chris about their sexuality, and then, they're asking each other, when did you lose your virginity? And so Johnny says, I think in junior high or something like that. And eventually Chris owns up that he is, well, the way he described it, in my opinion, it came across as he's a victim of sexual abuse, in the sense that somebody forced themselves on him. And so it was sad. It was sad because he was talking about how men are rarely believed when they claim that they've been sexually assaulted, and that people will say it takes a lot for a man to become aroused and then to sort of act on that, and it's not as easy as it would be for a man to sort of sexually assault a woman. Whereas with the opposite sex, people tend to believe that, when a man is sexually assaulted, there's more to it than they're actually making out. So it was really sad. I like that he opened up, but I personally didn't quite get their connection, and I don't think it was that strong for him to have sort of revealed such a big secret, unless the editing has sort of missed something out. I didn't get that sort of strong connection, that sort of bond. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Um, and then you have Lydia have a conversation with Izzy. I think Izzy was trying to break off things with Lydia, but he didn't know how to break things off. And I think he's trying to keep her there just in case all his other connections turn him down. I think he wants to be on the show. And so he's going to drag her along for as long as, nobody else expresses interest that they're definitely into him and they want him to propose. Because he kept saying to her, do you have other connections? I have multiple connections, and I need time to sort of just process what's going on with me. Do you have any other stronger connections than the one that we have? And she kept insisting, no, you're my number one. You're my number one. And I think he was trying to give her an out to get her to say, no, I think I've got another connection, so I'm going to drop things off with you and go to somebody else. I don't think he wants to be the one to break things off with her. I think he wants her to break things off with him, and it seems she's not doing that. And even when they said goodbye, you could tell that I think he doesn't want to come across as, a Hispanic person who refused the only other Latina on the show. I think that's what he's trying to run away from. And I think this is why he's trying to get Lydia to break things off with him. That's the impression that I got. Am I surprised that Izzy broke up with Lydia? No, I'm not. I think he didn't want to be a person of color who broke up with another person of color. I think he's more interested in Stacy, so I think he didn't want that tag of being labeled as someone who doesn't date his own people. And I think this is why he kept asking her, do you have a stronger connection with somebody else? He was trying to push her to get her to say no to him. And when she didn't say no, he eventually had no choice but to break up things with her. as loud as I think he is, she didn't deserve to be treated the way he treated her. I think he should not have led her on. I think after the first date or the second date, if he knew he wasn't interested, he should have broken things off with her and allowed her to try and explore connections with somebody else. I know she had a connection, but she felt with Milton and she felt he was way too young for her. But I think if he had told her the truth, she would have opened herself to getting to know the other guys. So I really hate that. And then you have Uche and Aliyah. Uche and Aliyah, well, they seem to have a great connection. They were reminding me of Brett and Tiffany from last season. But also at the same time, I knew it was too good to be true. I knew it was too good to be true. So they have this conversation about sex and sexuality. And then it comes up that, Aliyah cheated on her partner because she had complained countless times that she was struggling because he wasn't meeting her needs. And eventually she cheated with somebody else. And then after cheating, she felt so bad. She didn't do it again. She lasted another 3 months with the guy before she broke things off. And I hate the way Uche was treating her. Yes, he's a lawyer, but he was treating it like a jury trial, like they were in court. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't I really didn't like it at all. I really didn't like it because it broke her down and it stripped her and it made her feel less than because he said, "Oh, why didn't you tell him?" And she said, "I wanted to spare his feelings. I didn't want to hurt his feelings that, I had betrayed him." And for him to say, "Well, you didn't do it for him, you did it for yourself." And the fact that you stayed with him for another 3 months and you still slept with that was none of his business, really. That was really none of his business. And I don't think it's it for her. I think Lydia's right to say Lydia has her faults, but she made a lot of points that if he's going to hold on to that and is going to criticize you and judge you for that when he really doesn't know you that well, then he's not the guy for you. He really is not because of the way he was speaking to her. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. He made her feel like she was in court. You made her feel like she was on trial. He kept criticizing her. Yes, he's a lawyer. Yes, we had Zach last season. I know Zach was one of my favorites, but he never spoke to any of the women like that. And so to see this other side, I didn't like the way Uche handled the whole thing. The fact that she started crying and he made her feel less than, and then kept quiet for a long period of time, only to turn around and say, "Oh, anyway, thank you for telling me the truth." She had left already. She had left the room because what's the point? What's the point? He's belittled you. He's stripped you down naked on national TV. It's not just national TV, it's international TV because Netflix is available anywhere in the world, wherever you have internet. I did not like that. So imagine if he can treat her that way for cheating on somebody else. I can only imagine how he would behave if she cheated on him. And for him to criticize her, saying, "Oh, you're a cheater, this," and yet he says he cheated on someone and he only gave a kiss to somebody else, it's still the same thing. If they say cheaters, raise your hands up. They're both going to lift their hands up. You can then critique who slept with who and who kissed who or who touched what. But still, he's a cheater himself, so he has no right to criticize her. You went into the to the lounge and you were speaking to JP, and JP was saying, "So are you ready to lose Aliyah over this?" And oh, I don't think so. I don't. It's too late. I think Aliyah needs to move on. I think Aliyah needs to explore connections with other guys. If she can't get anything, it's not worth staying on TV for this. I think she needs to go home. That's just my opinion. And Lydia was right to support her and actually give her words of affirmation the same way she was there for Lydia. So I hope she listens to what Lydia was telling her. I feel like Aliyah needs to set ground rules with Uche if they're going to get back. I think she needs to let him know that she's not going to be treated like she's on trial. She's not going to be belittled. He should be there uplifting her, supporting her, showering her with love, and not breaking her down. If he breaks her down, what does he expect other people to do to her? So I think if they're going to get back together, I think she needs to set boundaries and guidelines that if he does cross those, then there's no going back. Then they have to break up. That's just my opinion. But anyway, I digress. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye, everyone.